Good morning, everyone. PT Pop here with all four lobes of my brain securely bound behind my back. And I wanted to talk about other people's artwork. And I'm sitting out here on a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's about 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. I'm here next to my gnome garden. I love gnomes. And I was looking through another artist's work, and her first name, I think, is Fatima. Might be her last name. I just discovered her work. She watched my documentary, The Artist, and she loved it and liked it and paid me some very nice compliments. And I had not seen her work before. She's an artist out of Columbus, Ohio. And I started to look at her work, and she's very talented, a woman, a very talented artist. And I was very awestruck by her compositions and very awestruck by her use of color. And I was thinking about this as I looked at her artwork, that when I was younger, I would have gotten jealous. I would have said, oh, you know, damn it, she's so good, I'm no good. And I would have had a pity party. And I was thinking about that as I looked at her beautiful work, and I thought to myself, I'm not like that now. Because when you get to a place in your life as an artist and you know what your strengths are, you can, and you know you've come a long way as an artist in your specific field. Like for me, it's photography. I think that's my wheelhouse. I think that's what I'm really good at, is photography. But you get to a place of, I call it maturity as an artist, where you can look at other people's work and no longer feel jealous. You can feel a great deal of satisfaction to look at their work. Number one, when I looked at her work, I could appreciate it because she looks like she paints in oils, and she does a lot of sketching, portraits, and some very abstract and some very surreal things. And I could look at that and not be threatened by it or not feel upset by it, because number one, I don't do work in surreal stuff. I like surreal stuff. I wish I could, but it's not something I've ever focused on. Number two, I'm not a portrait artist, and I still work at it. I say I'm working on a painting now that's a portrait, but I don't consider myself a portrait artist because I've never worked at it. So I could look at her work and see all the time, the effort she's put into creating her work, and appreciate that, because I know how hard it is. At least for me it is. And I know most artists, we struggle with drawing hands and feet and doing portraits. It's a very hard thing to pull it off and make it look good in a two-dimensional plane. But I could look at her work and go, you know what, this is beautiful work. This is well thought out. It's well composed. The colors are thought through. You can look at that stuff and appreciate it, because I know that I've never put in the effort that this woman has put into her work. I've never put forth the effort that the traditional fine artist has to put into fine-tune or hone their craft. You also get to a place where, okay, you know what your strengths are. For me, it's photography. And I know what kind of photography I like. I really gravitate more towards abstract photography. So when I looked at her work, I went, okay, this isn't what I do, so I can appreciate it. It's not something I can feel jealous about, because I know in my heart I've never tried to achieve this level of excellence like she has. And you become secure in yourself. You become secure in yourself as an artist and as a creative type, to know that, that's not who you are. I mean, I'm not a surrealist. I'm not a portrait drawer. But the third thing, I think I'm on number 3. If I'm not on number 3, I'm on number 4. Is that I know that my skills, my foundational skills, provide me the confidence within myself that I know if I really wanted to, if I really wanted to apply myself, I could become a better portrait drawer or painter. Forgive me if I'm not using the correct fine art terms, but I know I could. I don't know if I'd get to her level of creativity or her level of excellence. But I know that if I really applied myself, if I sat down every single day with a sketchbook and drew and drew and drew and drew, I'd definitely get better. You might say, Pete, well, that sounds pretty conceited. How can you be so sure of yourself? Well, I know this because I've seen it in my own abilities. See, with I've played the guitar since I was 14, and I saw that with a guitar. I started off just playing like single notes on like one string. I played Jingle Bells, and now I can play guitar, rhythm guitar parts and guitar picking like James Taylor. But it didn't happen overnight. I had to sit down and do it over and over and over again, and I saw a gradual progression of my improvement. And so I did that with music. I saw how I worked at it, and I got better and better and better. And the same thing with painting. I started off being a really sloppy painter, and one day it occurred to me I really have to take my time. It's a process. It's a different levels of painting. It's like layers in Photoshop. You have your background layer, and you have different layers depending on what you're painting. So I've seen an improvement in my painting over just these last 3 years because I forced myself to make it a process instead of trying to throw it all down the canvas at once. So the point of this video is you may be in a place in your life where you feel jealous of other artists and you feel insecure around them. I've been there. I used to torture myself over it. And I used to compare myself to my mother's artwork. I compare to myself years ago, like 40 years ago, when I met my friend Logan in college. He was an illustration major. I was an illustration major. He far excelled. He was much better than I was, and I was very jealous of the guy. In private, I'm still friends with him, and he was in my first film. But he was one of the reasons I changed my degree, because I was insecure and I lacked confidence in myself. And I didn't think I was as good as him. I could never be that good, but I didn't know how he got there. Right? This is a guy that draws all the time. He was always sitting around the fraternity house with a sketch pad drawing things. I was too busy chasing girls, chasing women. So not chasing them like literally like through the park with a knife. I mean, I'm a guy, I'm heterosexual, I like girls. I was trying to meet women. And my focus wasn't there. So this is a guy who he had focused on his craft. And I think as you get older and you start to see what it takes to become an artist, you focus on it, you'll see yourself get better, and you feel less threatened by other people's work. You don't feel as insecure around them, and you know what your strengths are. Like, I know I can pick up a camera and I can take a picture of something, and it'll be interesting because I can see the photograph before I take it. A lot of people really have to work at their photography. They have to figure out the depth, they figure out the f-stop and the shutter speed, and that all kind of comes natural to me. I don't know why, it just does. It all makes sense. It all falls into place. I like to do that. It just seems to come to me. Some people are good at drawing, some people are good at painting, some people are good at writing songs. So if you're an artist and you feel insecure and you feel uncomfortable around other people's artwork or their craft or who they become as an artist, try to step back from it and take a look at them and think, okay, how did this person get there? How did they get to become so good? Use them as inspiration. Same with the rock stars and the famous people, the famous actors and actresses that work in the arts. The Beatles were an inspiration to me to become a better guitarist. Eric Clapton is an inspiration to me to become a blues guitarist, though I've never really honed my craft at it. I'm not jealous of Eric Clapton. I wouldn't want Eric Clapton's life, but the music and the notes that he plays are an inspiration to become a better guitar player. So if you have friends that are good artists, and turn that jealousy around and use it as a source of inspiration. Use it as a source to make yourself a better artist. Well, I hope this helps you out. I think my gnomes enjoyed that a great deal. Have a good day.